Chapter 6. The Proposal. Carefully avoiding more populated areas, Alex made his way to Gavin Pond. By the time he got there, he was exhausted, mentally and physically. Everything had happened too fast for him to even process what he was feeling. His mind was scrambled, but before he could make another move, he needed to make sure of one thing. Alex found a secluded area to spread out the rug. He noted two boys throwing rocks into the water across the pond, then turned his attention back to the rug. He kicked off his slides and cautiously rubbed his bare feet against it. "Come out of there," he mumbled, desperately praying that no one could see this bizarre demonstration. After a few silent seconds, Alex abandoned this method and tried a different approach. He sat down on the rug. His thin legs trailed off into the damp grass. With one hand, he began to rub it, slowly at first, then more rapidly. Nothing. He was beginning to think he really had imagined the whole incident, when suddenly he remembered the blood. He frantically searched in his knapsack for something he could use. He felt something metallic and pulled it out. A nail clipper? Okay, pathetic, but I'll try it. Taking in a deep breath, he pinched the end of his finger with the nail clippers. A small drop of blood beaded up on his finger, and he let it drop onto the rug. The blood stain mingled with the dark garnet pattern. Alex quickly rubbed the area and finally got the results he was looking for. A bright blue spark crackled to life, and he quickly drew back his hand. This time he was ready. Alex scrambled to his feet, and from a safe vantage point behind a tree, he watched as the cloud rose up from the vivid threads of the rug. A mass of violet smoke began to take shape and solidify into a human form. "It's real. I'm not crazy," he whispered as he watched in amazement. It was the same man he had saw last night. He waited to see what he would do next. In the daylight, he was even more beautiful than the night before. Even in the shade of the trees, he had a faint, unnatural glow that seemed to emanate from inside of him. Elias looked around, seeing no one. He then obediently knelt down on the rug, head lowered as if he were meditating. Alex cautiously emerged from his hiding spot. Elias slowly raised his head and smiled innocently at him. "You summoned me, Master." "I told you not to call me that," Alex reminded him. His voice was solemn and unsteady. "Forgive me, for you have not told me your proper name," he said. "It's Alexander. Just call me Alex," he answered. "Alexander," Elias repeated, enunciating every syllable. "You share the name of an ancient leader, Alexander the Great," Elias pondered. "I'm not a leader, and I'm definitely not great," Alex confessed. He was overwhelmed with a feeling of defeat as he plunked down next to him on the rug. It was all starting to hit him now. Tears began to well up, and he turned his face away from him when he spoke. "Elias, my wish might have caused some problems," he began. "Big problems?" Elias inquired. His bright eyes fixed on Alex intently. "I didn't stick around to find out. The police are looking for me," he said. "Police? Well, what do they have questions about last night at the cemetery," he sputtered. "Oh, I see. I fear I have played some part in this." He searched for an appropriate word. Alex offered. "Disaster? Yeah," and rubbed his forehead. "Why did I make that wish?" Alex sighed. "Obviously, he was someone you cared for deeply. Still, it was a mistake to wish for that," he said rather coldly. Was he jealous? Alex gave him an annoyed look. He hoped he would realize he didn't appreciate his tone. "So, would you like to make another wish to fix this problem?" Elias guessed. "Are you joking? Look what my last wish did." "No way." He shook his head emphatically. Pardon my asking, but if you did not desire to wish, why have you summoned me here? Elias asked politely, adjusting his tone. I don't know. To make sure I'm not crazy, I guess? Alex grumbled. Elias ignored Alex's curt reply and insisted. I can change all of this. I can return everything to normal, he assured Alex. You don't get it, do you? Alex faced him with watery eyes. There is no normal to return to, Alex stated. Undaunted, Elias continued. It is quite simple. We will go back to the moment before your wish, and we would need to go back even further than that to fix this, much further. Alex explained. The hot tears that were welling up in his eyes threatened to start streaming. Should we go back to before Chris died? Or maybe before we met? Or how about before I was born? Because obviously I'm the problem here. I take every perfect situation and destroy it. He snapped angrily, wiping away a rogue tear with his sleeve. Elias finally backed down. He retreated to his thoughts, eyeing him curiously. He had never encountered a person like this. Most people would have wasted the whole of their wishes by now. But this boy is refusing to make any. Alex's reluctance to wish made Elias somewhat uncomfortable. He was very different from the other humans Elias had encountered. But then again, this boy is not Pahastuzi, Elias reminded himself. He sat quietly and waited for his commands.